And we're back with Brent Carlton, president of Com2A. So let's talk about some of the more juicier meatier aspects of what you guys got going on over there. Let's talk about some of the more notable cases that you guys are currently working on.
Okay. Well, we have two cases going that are right to carry cases. We're challenging the police chiefs for issuing restricted licenses to people, and these go back to the thing we talked about. The license should be based upon qualification, not upon some particularized need for self-defense as judged by a police chief. And so those are slowly working their way through the court. One's submitted, one we're just scheduling. We're suing one town that has a habit of seizing people's firearms when they reject their license. They do that without a search warrant or without any emergency. It's a Fourth Amendment violation, so it's very much a Fourth Amendment case.
Wait a minute. Okay. All right. So let me understand this correctly. So after they apply for a license to own a firearm or to buy one, they buy firearms, and then are we talking a rejection?
Well, no, these are all renewals.
Okay.
These are all renewals. So in one case, they wouldn't let the guy apply before his license expired. He went in to apply for his renewal after it expired. They took the application, and then they sent the police over to his house to take his guns.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we got two like that.
So that, I mean, in my mind, that's a real life. I mean, that's I can't think of any more direct version of a confiscation than that.
Yeah, if there was no emergency and the guy owned guns all along, he wasn't being denied for anything, but they decided that the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply if we're talking about guns. This is. We joke about this legal doctrine that's out there in the courts right now. It's unofficial. It's called "but it's guns." So nothing else matters if we're talking about guns.
No, it's funny, but it's sadly true, though.
Yeah.
It's just every weekend we can talk about all the rights in the world and demonstrate and march for all of the constitutional rights, but guns. We can wipe our ass with that one. But anything else, yeah, we're all for it.
Exactly.
It baffles me. It's the Second Amendment.
Yeah, it's right after the first one, right?
Yeah, I'm just I don't understand how we can just devalue something so important, or just, I mean, are we that far removed from the essentially the genesis of why we need it that we just don't see a need for it anymore? Which doesn't make any more sense to me at all now, because we can get online, we can watch TV, we can see examples of why we would need this right, even more so today than ever before.
I got no answer for you. I tell people it's the least relatable of our rights. People understand the First Amendment and free speech and religion. They understand search and seizure, and the police can't just come to your house. They understand you can't be compelled to testify against yourself. But if somebody doesn't own a gun or doesn't think they're interested in it, that Second Amendment is kind of foreign. Yeah. It's kind of like the Third Amendment, right? People can't relate to the idea that the government could say, hey, we want Private Sullivan and Corporal Chapman to come live in your house for a while. That doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But gosh, it's so frustrating, man. It really is.
Yeah, it is. But we got some great stuff coming up, and 2017 has turned out to be a really good year for us.
I can see that. All right. So now, what can you tell me about some of the cases that could be headed to the Supreme Court?
To the Supreme Court? Well, none for Massachusetts right now. Mm-hmm. So we got that California case, Peruta, which has petitioned for certiorari in the Supreme Court. That's a right to carry case.
Yeah.
That's had a long and tortured path through the lower courts. It'll probably be a few months before we hear about that. And then there's this, what we call this a missed felony in Massachusetts, Binderup, which is a guy that had a nonviolent felony from like 20 years ago. And that case was won in the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. And the government petitioned the Supreme Court for review on that. They still want to deny him his Second Amendment rights, even though he's nonviolent. He has had no criminal record other than one kind of minor transgression that was still technically a felony years ago. He's not dangerous. And that's a really important kind of line of cases, and our side has been winning quite a few of those over the years, or over the last few months, I should say.
Gotcha. So how do you, doing what you do in Massachusetts and considering the culture in Massachusetts, how do you typically kind of interact and engage with people when the issues of firearms comes up? And what have your experiences been like?
You mean personally?
Yeah, personally.
Well, most of the people I know that I own firearms, and they kind of know what I do, and I try not to be that guy that's always talking about it.
What's funny about that, I'm going to interrupt you real quick, is you point that out, and I try to do the same thing, but no matter what, wherever I go, somebody has to bring it up. Always.
That's fine. When I'm out at a match with my friends on the weekend, that some people ask me questions about our cases and what's going on, and I'm happy to talk about it. I don't want to be the guy that, they walk the other direction when they see me walking up because they know that I'm going to keep going on and on about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've dealt with it on personal levels where I'm like, I just want to be here, hang out, have a good time. I don't want to turn this into a debate.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Without fail, someone always tries me.
Well, there's a reason we're not involved in the lobbying, the legislative side, and then that we do the legal side because all the action takes place in the courtrooms, and that's really kind of where our mentality is and kind of like what we like to do.
Gotcha. So for anybody who wants to get involved with your group, how would they go about doing that?
Well, first thing is sign up on our mailing list. Just hit us up on our website. It's com2a.org. That's COMM, the number 2a.org. There's a contact us form, and we'll get folks into the mix. And we don't spam people a whole lot, but we have important announcements. We send them out. We actually have 2 this week, which I'm happy to kind of give you guys the exclusive on if you like.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we actually have 2 cases that are in the pipeline right now. One was filed today. We're putting the finishing touches on a challenge to the state's ban on stun guns and tasers. So Massachusetts is only one of 4 states that has a complete ban on electronic defense weapons.
I did not know that.
Yep, we're one of them, and we actually have a U.S. Supreme Court case overturning the conviction of a Massachusetts woman for possessing a stun gun. Didn't overturn the law, but it overturned her conviction.
So let me get this straight. So a woman who wants to utilize a stun gun or taser for her protection gets thrown in jail for owning one.
This is a homeless woman who had been beaten by her partner, her ex-partner, so badly he put her in the hospital. A friend gave her a taser, or not taser, a stun gun.
Uh-huh.
And she actually used it. She threatened to use it on him one time, and he went away. So it worked. And she was arrested. She was charged and convicted. She appealed all the way up to the state Supreme Court on Second Amendment grounds. And they said, our state Supreme Court said, among other things, stun guns aren't covered by the Second Amendment because they weren't in existence when the Second Amendment was enacted. Which is exactly the opposite of what the Hill decision says on page 8.
Yeah.
So I have a term for that. I call it judicial insubordination.
Uh-huh. I like that.
But they got slapped down. The U.S. Supreme Court in March of 2016 basically sent that back, overturned her conviction. The state decided decided to drop the charges because they didn't want this tried again.
Yeah.
So the law's still in the books,
but
it's practically not enforceable.
So you guys are working your way to basically work on getting that taken off the books altogether because it should be. It should have been there in the first place.
We're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's on the complaint. And we're working with the Center for Individual Rights down in D.C. on that one. So we're really excited about that.
Gotcha. And the second one?
Oh, the second one got filed today. Well, Massachusetts has an assault weapons ban.
Unfortunately.
We're one of those states. But it got really worse over the summer because our Attorney General decided that, that feature test was really only part of it. Anything with she said copy or duplicates, and kind of gave a really broad, open-ended definition of what that would be.
Yeah.
So you could reasonably guess that almost any semi-automatic rifle with a magazine would be a so-called assault weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So we filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against her in the enforcement of the actual assault weapons ban. We filed that earlier today in federal court.
That's freaking amazing.
And, it was a joint effort. We had to hurt a lot of cats, and a lot of cats had to hurt us. And so we worked with Gun Owners Action League on that. And they're actually named plaintiff in the case, and we actually partnered with the NRA on this one as well, which was absolutely instrumental in getting this off, because we could not have done this at the level we're doing it without their support. We had access to a really awesome team of attorneys on this, and so they deserve a huge amount of credit for making this happen, because it wouldn't have happened like this or as well as this without the support of the NRA.
That's awesome. And I got to point out, like, you guys along with the NRA, there's so much stuff that goes on that a lot of people don't get credit for. I get a lot of credit for being a voice for the movement in many respects. However, it's guys like you all and organizations like Com2A who are in the trenches, really pounding it and really trying to do their best to make a change in places that most people tend to really ignore, and look at as lost causes. So I just personally want to thank you for the work that you guys do behind the scenes.
Thank you, and thanks for helping to get the word out. You know, we had your buddy Maj out here last month. He gave us a shout out on your show. I saw that, and that really helped us reach a lot of other people and potentially get some plaintiffs for other cases as well.
That's all you need.
So I mean, it's a group effort, and what I'm really, really happy about doing this for the last 6 years is kind of the partnerships that we've been able to form with the NRA, with GOAL, a lot of my counterparts in other states. We haven't really put directly, but you know, we share information and theories and approaches, and you know, it's kind of turned into one big happy family.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you very much, Brent, for everything that you do. I want to thank Com2A for everything they do. I want to thank NRA for everything they do, and everybody else who's linked up with them, Maj, everybody. I love how tightly knit we all are and how we work together. And as long as we keep doing that and continue to grow as a community, I think we'll be unstoppable. So thank you very much for speaking with me today, Brent. I really appreciate it.
We'll get there. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Absolutely. So stand by, because we've got Rob Pincus coming up right after this break.